Good afternoon to all. Here we are a team of 5 for jobs and a team of 5 for entrepreneurship, and we're gonna debate on the topic that is job versus entrepreneurship. So the first point stated here is security. Well, jobs have got far much better security because a business entrepreneur can go down any moment. Maybe any business can go down in a few days or maybe a few months, but the job has got a far much better security. People are still getting money, but job doesn't have entrepreneurship doesn't have a good security.
I would like to say something on that. I'm Milind Kapoor, and I would like to say that if that's what he's saying. What happened to Kingfisher? What happened? That was a company that was also a startup at one day. After some time, when it got big, it started recruiting people. And even when they were placed well settled, and even then they were losing jobs in recession. So there is no safe guarantee or anything that one will have a job, one will have a security, even if the market is up, market goes up, market goes down. So there is no certain security. There is a basic level of security that is also there in a startup.
I would like to speak and prove it. God, first of all, people lost their job because your company went down. Second, when you lose one job, you always have an option. It's not like you're never going out of option. When you lose your company, you've lost everything.
But yeah, then you can start a new set.
Starting a new company is not easy, man. You need a lot of finance. First of all, to start a company, you need some experience. That experience you get via your job. Okay, so job is like a stepping stone to the business.
But you have done a company once, you have lots of experience, so it's easier to get a job.
I'd like to jump in here, Shazad, this side. Point I'd like to make here is, when you start off on a job, you say that you can start a company after joining a job. My question is, when will you get out of the company rat race and finally decide to make a stand and build a company for your own? Because when you're on a job, you have a cushy job. You have a paycheck coming in every month. Why would you think, get out of your comfort zone and start building
Let me ask you one simple question. Would you have a paycheck of 20,000 every month, or not knowing what you will be getting in a month? In entrepreneurship, one day you might get a lakh, next day you might get nothing. Second day you might go in loss. What would you prefer, having 20,000 per month or like stable payment, or something which is completely unpredictable?
I would go in for 1 lakh one day and loss for another, because at least I'm getting something. At least I know that I earn.
And even in job, I'm only earning it.
You are not earning it. Someone else brought you business and he's paying you for your efforts. That's it. It was your idea.
Only we are taking the negative side of it. It is not that we will be going in loss.
See, what I'm basically saying is, job, it has stable payment. Like the company goes in loss or profit, it doesn't matter to me. I'm working for that company. I'm going to get payment. The owner might not get any money out of it.
You are getting 20,000 pays. You are getting it for 2 to 3 years, but you are not getting it. There is no increment in it. And in job, you have a
that is something you're talking about. That is completely other topic. Working for 20,000, like working for 3 years for 20,000 rupees in one company. It's not never like that. That's just one situation you're talking about. How often do you work in a company and you are just still at 20,000?
I would like to.
But it's not that.
If I'm not having my job, if I'm not having my job, I always have an option to go for another job.
First of all, I must point out that the debate is getting very self-centered. The job or the company you own doesn't always pertain to you. The economy exists for a nation. It is about how much you pass on to the nation. By doing a job, yes, you are doing a service to your nation, but by creating jobs, by being an entrepreneur, you are doing greater good. So if you have the capital to invest, I think you should go for it. But then there are you have better advantages when you are doing a job actually, because I've seen people who have a job and who have business. Job people have much more advantages like health insurance and whatever, they have advantages. Business people don't have.
you are an entrepreneur, you can have an health insurance by giving just money to some policy agent, or you can have it. There's not an issue that health insurance. My name is Model. I would like to, in today's world, the business almost in every sector is so established that you cannot start from scratch. You need a huge capital to start up a business. Multinational companies have come to India. They like basically, if I tell you, if you have a business, maybe a computer shop, but today e-commerce has taken over everything. So if you want to start a firm, you need to have a huge capital. Whereas in jobs, you can have your own allowances, and it's easier to get into job, have your stable life. And in business, it's very large capital business. Otherwise, you cannot.
I would like to say that you don't always need huge capital. Facebook was started in a top class, in a college.
Taking a simple example of Mark Zuckerberg, he had an idea when he placed, and he simply said that if he was not making Facebook, he could have easily been in Microsoft. In that place, he would have been one person working for Microsoft and he would be earning for himself, that's okay. But by creating Facebook, he opened up a big company and he was recruiting company, and he comes to India and recruits people from India and goes to other places. In that case, even if Facebook failed at a point of time, he could have gone to other IT companies. So it needs an idea, not capital. It's not necessary to have a capital to pick up a big business. It basically, and it does not even need an experience. It just needs an idea to be clicked to the audience. And then India being the second largest populated country, India needs more education.
And Prakshi, I would like to say that even though your point, I could understand the point you're trying to put across, but I would also like to state that not every startup actually reaches the top. Facebook is just one of the million ideas that people have.
The probability of
that supporting the point, how many Facebooks, how many Flipkarts, and how many Bill Gates do we have on this earth?
the probability is very low.
And it is not always that if you take a risk and the
All business. There are small businessmen also on this earth. There is not only Mark Zuckerberg, Ambani, then
One question I'm going to ask.
So that's
What do you do till you get that idea? What do you do till that idea clicks?
we are doing an engineering. We can have something from this field. I read in the newspaper last few weeks back that they made shoes that would tell you the path you want to go, the destination you want to go. It would be connected with your GPS and your mobile GPS, and it would tell you. And they sold, I guess, 120 million something. They got an order of 120 million.
So what I would like to say,
I'm telling that you have to get an idea only. It's not about that. It's
What
not about
you get the idea?
It's all about
How does that make entrepreneurship better?
Yeah.
Yes.
That's what you have to talk.
The basic
I
problem.
get the idea you have to go into a job, because if I want to open a company, I have to go to a job, because if I am a contractor, if I open an electrical contractor company, it's a business of my own. But when I go to a company to take the contractorship from them, they'll ask me that what job experience you have, or what experience you have, or how many companies you have worked for. So there I have to put my biodata and I have to state that yes, I was working with these big companies. If you take an example of a very good automobile company in India, Motherson India, the CEO of that company worked for 10 years in another company. He had that experience, he took the experience, he bought a new idea of restructured building and then he implemented on it. So
That is also your supporting entrepreneurship only.
no, but after job, after 10 years of job,
baseline is job.
Yes.
First you have to get an experience, then you have to get experience.
He started.
If you are something, if you do a job, you are going to go into entrepreneurship.
So that's what you're supporting my point.
Yes,
The reason every time
you have to set your goal.
Contradicting your point, saying go
It's
into
not
job.
always people who do job end up opening, setting up their own business.
The reason every time you get an example of somebody doing a job and then going to a company, there's a very big mistake in the education policy that happens. Whenever you are in a course or you're doing some kind of training, there is lack of experience in entrepreneurship. What you end up doing is training for a job. So of course you are going to support the thought of job more because you have done that. You have not done the entrepreneurship training. So of course you're going to be frightened to take the risk. Entrepreneurship has always been pertaining to risk. And security, another point which was given by somebody, is that you don't have security while doing entrepreneurship. You have that chance where you could fail. Entrepreneurship is always like that. If you're doing a job, you're working for somebody. Somebody also started that company with that amount of risk. And actually that amount of risk actually doesn't exist, because just like there are workforces groups and employment groups, there are also business organizations. When you have a certain idea which has a large capital needed, so actually funds come in so that that idea can be processed into a company, so that it can be said and it can do good for all. In that case, everybody can fund towards their idea. Different business organizations who have already established their firms. So that is my point.
Yeah, and even if you're working for a job, your life becomes so monotonous and you are not able to explore more in the world. You're basically thinking, basically working in one direction, what company is telling you, not with your own ideas.
Sometimes you explore because of your job. Sometimes you explore because of your job.
If you're an automobile engineer or a mechanical engineer, when you enter the shop floor of a company, you explore yourself, you explore the shop floor. Because every company's shop floor is different from yours.
And getting into a business is like probably marrying. You need to invest in 24/7.
Yes.
Yeah, that's why
And getting into a job, it's like no.
It's like you can switch your job anytime.
You can switch on jobs anytime, and after
It's
that,
not anytime.
hold on. And after that, 9 to 8 or maximum 9 to 9 is what you are going for a job.
Right.
You're not putting in 24/7. You don't have that tension over your brain that yaar mera dhanda jo hai डूब जाए.
So
it is that way.
Basically, you're trying to say being safe and being ambitious are two different things. I'm more ambitious. If I think I can make a crore, but in job I'm thinking will be like 50 chalega mere. That's not the thing. If you have the confidence in you that you can make a crore, and that too for your company and that too for your country, that is more beneficial for working for an MNC. Let me ask you, being in India, how many people actually wants to work for an Indian company? Nobody. We want to work for an MNC.
As first it was stated, as my colleague actually stated, that creating jobs is a greater good to the nation. Now, all I'm saying is, by your estimates, how many engineering graduates do we have graduating every year? Which means that for every position you have at least 1,000 people fighting for it. What happens if you take your idea and you set it up for yourself? You might be providing jobs to those people who are fighting it out at MNC.
But you need a base, you need a backup, you need finances.
It's not about finance, it's about ideas.
But it's
How about motivating people?
You get ideas,
people.
So you think you're gonna create Facebook very soon, another one?
I'm not saying that I'm capable of doing so, but people are. I'm saying
How many? That's what the world has done. That's what I'm asking. How many Bill Gates, how many Facebook?
That's simple.
Again, this one point.
I would like to answer that. In a class of 50, how many people think of becoming an entrepreneur? Out of 50, let's say 10 people think of, and out of 10, 5 people become that. So that ratio, you cannot see how many people you want to become an actor, how many people want to do something different. In that case, that's the ratio.
There's a very big reason this kind of debates start up first of all. Most of the economy today is developing, especially in our country. So there's a huge wealth disparity. There is one class, a smaller class at the top, which spends and earns more than the rest of the nation. And there's one class which is in poverty. There's a huge gap in between. So what happens is, job is essentially the ladder to climb to a stage where you can become able to be one of the entrepreneurs. That is why it kills the idea of entrepreneurship, because people feel that since they are poor, since there is poverty, they have actually no right or
no other option.
And in India,
so you're trying to prove my point.
Then less job.
You're supporting jobs. That's what you're saying. You said there is a big gap between the richer getting even richer and the poor getting even poorer.
yes.
So that gap is being covered up by poor people
Not
getting
being
into
covered up.
jobs.
Not being covered.
That's
I'm
what
saying
you said.
that is the general thought, but that is an illusion. It doesn't mean that if a person is poor, that he is not capable of.
So you mean to say the poor people should get into entrepreneurship?
If they have the ideas, yes, they
Yeah,
can be.
sure.
But if they don't have the
And
ideas,
simple.
Do
Unemployment.
they have the thought? Do they have the thought and the base to like take that risk up?
Why is it jobs right now?
How is it possible?
Guys,
Getting into like poverty is like you don't even have shelter, you don't have clean water to drink. Instead of thinking about all that, instead of getting the basic needs, you think a person would have an idea like Facebook and he'll come up and say that I want to get into entrepreneurship.
Linda said that in a class of 50, approx 10 people have an idea to start an entrepreneurship, and out of that 5 people are actually successful with that. And now when you start something like this, those 5 people are capable enough to give a job to these 50 people, and that is how jobs are created. All I'm saying is jobs and entrepreneurship, they both are related, and they both go in hand. Now if you say that there was recession, the recession was hit to those main companies, and that hit the jobs. So you can't really blame that it is your fault. तुम लोगों को लगा इसके that is why हम लोग के jobs गए. That is not a right point. That is all I wanted to say. And yeah, next.
They are basically focusing on Facebook and Flipkart and all those things, but there are many other ways a person can start his own business. Many things, manufacturing parts, and there are so many things. So it's basically your choice and your capability of what you want to do.
Now that we have heard both the sides, it's evident that both the sides, jobs or entrepreneurship, both have their own pros and cons, but both cannot survive without the other. We need entrepreneurs so that people have jobs, and entrepreneurs need people to work for them. So yeah.